Hey Paisanos. Steam NextFest 2025 has come and gone, and I downloaded about 85 demos, because I have tendencies. But you know what? I'm glad I did. It's been an interesting 2 weeks, if nothing else, and I'm cheering on most of the projects, even if they're not for me. Look, with all due respect to Shoji Meguro, Guns und Darkness needs a lot more time in the oven and probably shouldn't make its 2025 release. There was the new experience of accidentally downloading AI slop, which, well, this can speak for itself, and it's vocal.
Don't go to the shrine behind it. There have been complaints that students have been there playing pranks. There have been complaints that students have been there playing pranks.
Usual. After school, let's do our best to film a horror YouTube video today too. As usual. Let's meet at the abandoned shrine behind the YouTube video today too. Let's do our best to film a horror YouTube video today too.
But this is a celebration, not a denigration. I put together a nervous dozen of games currently in development that I think are worth a ganders. Many of them have nebulous release dates, but a surprise drop is one of the great joys of wishlisting games on Steam. So without further ado, here we go. I Nima is a word association horror adventure. As the titular Nima, or are you? You awake to find yourself restrained in a dark basement. A woman, who claims to be your mother, says you suffered a head injury while swimming, and the restraints are there for your own safety. With little recourse other than to take her at her word, or pretend until she loosens your bonds, Mom begins asking you some simple questions. So what do I mean when I say word association horror adventure? Well, as Mom talks to you, keywords appear like fridge magnet poetry in Nima's brain, illustrated by the game's absolutely killer UI. These are cataloged and categorized within a database on the left-hand side of the screen, and when Mom asks a question of us, we can drag and drop certain words into Nima's mouth to respond. However, dragging and dropping words onto each other within Nima's brain can create new keywords, which allows the player to begin piecing together the game's story bit by bit. Nima may be feeling a bit fuzzy, but she's a well-sketched character with memories and feelings, even if we need to do a little work to bring them bubbling to the surface. For example, combining dad and loneliness creates grief, intuiting that Nima's dad has passed away. We can also combine words to determine that our captor truly is Nima's mother, a person who causes her a great deal of frustration due to her distant demeanor and obsession with her job. Something is going on with Nima and her mom, something deep and dark and scary. And no matter what I tried, I was never able to worm my way back into Mom's heart, ending each playthrough with a, well, let's say undesirable outcome for old Nima, and hints of a loop, tying up nicely with the palindrome of the title. While the demo's short, it's incredibly dense, with many plot threads to uncover. Around my fourth playthrough, a thorough round of experimenting with keywords unlocked Obsession, an optional vignette that gives us a peek into Nima's experiences with Pearl, an elderly care home resident she befriended. I Nima is being developed by Ho Games and is due sometime in 2025. I'm very excited for this one. Fans of the Portopia serial murder case or Famicom Detective Club have absolutely been spoiled for choice recently, as command-based detective adventures are back, baby! Detective Instinct, Farewell My Beloved, is a comfy, pitch-perfect homage that would feel right at home on the Nintendo Dual Screen. I love these pre-rendered backgrounds. They remind me of SMT1 or Juggernaut, light on detail, but with nice lighting and unmistakable mood. Abroad in the fictional European country of Vendrica, our protagonist is a college student on a study trip with his crush, Emma, and their professor. A quiet evening at the hotel is thrown into disarray when an unidentified man is thrown from a fifth-floor window, and an eccentric detective invites us to help him investigate the scene of the crime. Cute, slightly irreverent, and with a promise of a great train mystery, Detective Instinct Farewell My Beloved is being developed by Armonica LLC and pulls out of the station sometime in 2025. Promise Mascot Agency is the long-awaited next game from Kaizen Gameworks, who brought us Paradise Killer in 2020. I'm not even really sure how to describe this one, but I'll give it a go. Vehicular, open world, talent, agency management, crime adventure, collectible card game, starring the voice of Kazuma Kiryu? Yeah, sure, that'll do. Former Yakuza enforcer Michi is on the run from his previous life, and his family pulls some strings to allow him to go into hiding as the manager of a failing mascot agency on an island off the coast of Kyushu. Accompanied by a mascot of a severed pinky finger, aptly named Pinky, the duo operate out of a rundown old love hotel to turn the Promise Mascot Agency back into a major player on the Mascot stage. Gameplay primarily consists of driving around the island, looking for mascots willing to join your cause, as well as looking for job opportunities, and sending one of your stable of mascots out to restaurant openings or soft drink launches. Then you need to be on call just in case your mascot runs into trouble on the job, like getting stuck in a door, which you resolve with the help of hired heroes in the form of collectible cards. This is the island of misfit mascots, like this filthy old block of tofu who's always crying. But these aren't costumes either. These are living creatures, something like pop culture yokai. Look at this parody of Korin from Dragon Ball, covered in suspect fluids and going on about dirty videos. This is like something out of the old alternative manga magazine Garo. Promise Mascot Agency looks gorgeous with its washed-out filter, your truck's taillights creating trails in the twilight as you lazily drive through town, the way the music slows down when you open the window. Hell yes, this hole was made for me. The setting feels convincingly Showa, and I realize it's pretty silly to say that about a game developed in Ken, but Kaizen obviously know what they're doing and have managed to present this sense of place without it feeling forced or fanboyish, which is a remarkable achievement. As Paradise Killer was to City Pop, Promise Mascot Agency is to Kaio Kyoku. It's due out on April 10th, 2025. I played a very early build of They Speak from the Abyss as part of a haunted PS1 demo disc a couple of years back, and while limited, I thought it had some real promise. Solo dev Nikki Kalpa is still working away on that title, but has now added They Speak from the Abyss Zenith, a prequel that shows us a clearer picture of what these games are set to be. Skylar seems to be a relatively normal angsty teen who's found himself in the distinctly not normal celestial realm of Zenith, guided by voices urging him to destroy corrupted angels. Soon we find ourselves falling back into the underworld of Dis, a realm of hedonistic demons in BDSM gear. Zenith is a grid-based dungeon crawler, and as a certified SMT and Baroque obsessive, you know this is my jam. This is a Kowloon-esque maze of bars, shops, apartments, and alleys brimming with threats. Battles are turn-based, and your basic attacks consume your stamina, resulting in a push-pull of knowing when to attack and when to defend or replenish. There's weapons to find and quintessences to equip, which bestow special characteristics to Skylar, though I'm not sure why you'd want some of them, like this one that makes you weak to every type of attack. But maybe that says something about me, or about Nikki Kalpa, or about both of us. This demo is pretty buggy, with a litany of map and battle issues, but Zenith has loads of heart and potential. It's due sometime in 2025. Kazutaka Kodaka is back, and this time he's teaming up with Kotaro Uchikoshi. Together with Mediavision, the twin titans of irreverent battle royale adventure games have combined forces to come up with something a little different this time. The 100 line, Last Defense Academy, is a hybrid social adventure game and small numbers tactics RPG. Takumi, our VTuber-haired protagonist, bemoans his daily routine as an ordinary student in the Tokyo residential complex, a city with a sky of lights which switch on and off every morning and evening, as if it's a gigantic warehouse. Takumi's even bored by the frequent security alerts, blaring sirens which force the residents into subterranean shelters to wait out an unknown threat. Before long, Takumi's boring life is upended when kawaii monsters invade, slaughtering the townsfolk mercilessly. Soon he meets Sire, like a yurei, who's a sir. Get it? A dapper phantom who bestows to him the power of Hemo Anima, a superpowered form activated by ramming a ceremonial dagger right through his own heart, resulting in a shower of blood that causes a Sailor Moon-esque henshin sequence. And this is deep, crimson blood. not the neon pink seen in Kodaka's other games. Now able to fight back against this supernatural and adorable threat, Sirei whisks Takumi away to the Last Defense Academy, where he joins a class of unlikely students tasked with taking the world back for humanity and uncovering the truth of what the Tokyo residential complex really is and how it came to be. Now, let's be real, this is pretty close to Danganronpa, much closer than 2023's Rain Code. You're trapped in a fantastical high school with a bunch of other ridiculous students, including a psychopathic goth girl who wishes she was in Danganronpa, an airheaded mechanic who keeps barfing, a hot-tempered bancho, this awful little cuck frog boy, and these horrible incest twins. If you don't like Dragon Grandpa, you're probably not going to get on so well with the 100 line. Even I find some of these guys a little bit much. When we're not getting to know our unpleasant new friends, we're participating in speedy, tower defense, turn-based tactics battles to defend the Academy's generator from extraterrestrial siege. The foes come fast and frequently, and the battles in the demo emphasize the importance of taking out as many enemy units as possible in a single turn. Each character boasts their own unique abilities, like the sadistic student president who powers up after each attack, or the Bancho who transforms into a Bosozoku horseman of the apocalypse, his bike allowing him the greatest mobility of the squad and increasing his defense with every square traversed. There's some eyebrow-raising stuff in the 100 line. Our characters' hemoanima forms look like early Showa school uniforms, and the activation's similarity to seppuku is noticeable. Throw in the squad name Special Defense Unit, and Sirei bemoaning Takumi's generation for growing up weak in times of peace, and we've got some pointed commentary going on. I'm really interested in seeing where this one goes, and we won't have to wait long. The 100-line Last Defense Academy is being developed by Tokyo and Media Vision and releases on April 23rd, 2025. And now for something completely different. Is This Seat Taken is a cozy puzzle game based on seating considerations starring a population of adorable little geometric critters. They'll travel from A to B on public transport, or take in a movie at the old theater, and they have strong opinions on where they want to sit. Things start out simply with short cab rides, where certain characters prefer to sit by the window, or two friends wish to be seated next to each other, and become more complex with the introduction of the movie theater, music venues, and long bus rides. Further complicating matters are the introduction of people who want to chat up strangers, those who wish to be left alone, and the dreaded stinky guys. You have the ability to rearrange seating between checkpoints, which becomes essential as more people arrive at the concert or as the bus starts to fill up. As you play through the stages, there's an ongoing storyline between Alexis and Nat, an indie film scriptwriter and an aspiring actor, respectively. Nat is a rhombus, and in fact the only rhombus who appears in the demo, and they're very self-conscious about it. Alexis encourages them to embrace who they are, but Nat struggles until they see another rhombus-shaped actor in a movie. It's all very sweet without being too cloying. I didn't find Is This Seat Taken to be too difficult, though it's worth bearing in mind that this is a demo of the game's introductory chapter. Players who achieve a perfect score on all stages unlock a bonus level, a wedding reception which is actually pretty challenging, and surely a demonstration of what's to come in the full release. Is This Seat Taken is in development by Poti Poti Studios and currently has no confirmed release date. Calling all Arkham Horror fans, especially those of us who try to set up the board and then have a glass of wine and go to bed. The Horror at Highrook is a single-player, Lovecraftian digital board game in which a team of paranormal investigators arrive at Highrook House to determine what happened to its owners, the aristocratic Ackerton family, who vanished without a trace. True to its tabletop inspirations, everything in Highrook is card-based, from your playable characters to actions and items obtained from completing said actions. Each of your investigators has their own specialty: the burly groundskeeper, the snooty academic, the singularly focused machinist, and the enigmatic Dr. Caligar, who joins the expedition on day 2, and are tuned towards actions related to their skills. The academic will have the greatest success poring over tomes in the library, while the groundskeeper will excel at digging up strange patches of dirt in the backyard. The game advances in real time with pause, and each task takes a set amount of time. Buff cards can be used to complement a specific task, to either grant additional skill points or decrease the time spent. As your party investigates Highrook House, you'll slowly find keys or secret mechanisms to unlock more of the house, and diary entries which start informing the story's central mystery. But this is also a survival game. Each member of your team requires sustenance, so you'll need to task the groundskeeper with rustling up some flora or fauna from the garden, and then choose someone to prepare a meal, all the while taking care that you're not inadvertently making a hot pot of poisonous mushrooms. They'll also need sleep to ensure they don't burn out, go mad, or worse. A well-rested character is granted a buff card related to their skills, but you can also send them to bed with a sip of Dream Draft, spurring on strange visions of eldritch rituals performed within the house's walls. I really like this demo. The gameplay loop is immensely satisfying for investigative sickos, and the presentation is a real treat. Birds and fog pass over the board, and the ambient colors change from warm to cold as day gives way to night. The horror at Highrook is in development from solo dev Null Pointer Games, and currently has no confirmed release date. Set in a nightmarish depiction of the Kamakura period, Labyrinth of the Demon King follows the nameless sole survivor of the Takeda clan, who were wiped out in an ambush by a demonic army. Seeking vengeance, you venture into a misty forest where the barrier between the human and demon realms is at its weakest. And hell yes, we've got a Kingsfield-like, folks, with some delicious 32-bit survival horror trappings. A battle tutorial where you're torturing some kind of nasty little creature, the appearance that someone's hailing you from the fog, but you get closer and realize it's just an inanimate post, stepping into darkened caves lit by small candles, the sounds of someone or something ravenously eating growing louder the deeper you descend. Labyrinth of the Demon King skillfully captures the magic of 90s FromSoft, resisting the urge to over-egg the pudding. The player steps into the demo with only the bare essentials. You must traverse 4 dilapidated towers and slay the elite wardens who rule over each of them. That's all you need to know, and what few friendly NPCs you encounter just raise more questions. I was fist-pumping the air as I traveled these long, liminal hallways, picking up a shirikodama sucked out of somebody's butt that I have no idea what to do with. Resident Evil door transitions, which I believe are heavily compressed FMV files, and even an homage to encountering the first zombie in RE1. Just fantastic stuff. The surround sound is expert too, as you hear awful gibbering coming from around corners or behind doors you can't yet open. Labyrinth's combat, much like Kingsfield, is quite fiddly and very punishing, but not overtly cruel. Death sends you back to the last shrine you prayed at, but all your progress, stats, and inventory remain intact. This game wants the player to see what horrors it has to offer, rather than scare them away. Labyrinth of the Demon King is in development from J.R. Hootapole and currently has no confirmed release date. I have always found the idea of being a lighthouse keeper to be equal parts lonely romanticism and abject terror. Plenty of media have explored this dichotomy, but few games have attempted to directly tackle this. But if Labyrinth of the Demon King is to Kingsfield, The Lightkeeper is Gone is to Echo Night. Our protagonist is the incoming lighthouse keeper on a perpetually rainy, desolate island. We slowly putter towards our destination in a rundown old tugboat manned by an unfriendly captain, learning that our predecessor ran away from their duties, or possibly disappeared, taking the key to the basement larder with them. The lighthouse looms imposingly tall above us, languid, dark ambience slowly increasing in volume as we make our march towards the tower and climb its vertigo-inspiring stairs to activate the bezel at its zenith. Lightkeeper is equal parts slow horror adventure and minutiae simulator, as we perform little QTE minigames to perform our duties for the evening before retiring to our cabin at the foot of the hill. There's fishing, there's cooking, there's a mysterious presence slipping notes under your door, there's an undulating meat corridor. The Lightkeeper is Gone seems like it'll be a delightful slow-life horror jam, and it's due in Q2 2025 from Zarya Games. A friend of mine on Discord recommended that I check out Angeline Era for its early East-style bump combat. But when I fired it up to see this is the newest game from Melos Hantani and Marina Kitaka, developers of the Anodyne games, I was even more excited. Folks, you've done it again with this artful take on the early action RPG with these fantastic tutorial bellhop frogs. Bellhop, get it? Gorgeously low poly and looking convincingly like a Net Yorose game or something constructed in RPG Maker for the PlayStation 2, Angeline Era drops us onto a mysterious island equipped with a sword and a gun, one pant leg rolled up so you know we're gangsta. The island is an overworld with entrances to discrete stages, bridged by these cute little minigames where you have to traverse a dangerous portal before the stamina limit expires. It's actually a little bit closer to Gurumin than Ys, but the Falcom influence is there without a doubt. While your verbs are simple, the stages themselves can be quite challenging, with busy combat arenas that pull your attention in several directions at once. This absurd boss battle against a single fish ramps up pretty quickly, and I couldn't help but be impressed at its audacity. Here I failed a combat challenge to cross a bridge to retrieve a chest, and when I respawned, both the bridge and the chest disappeared forever. I guess there's some real consequence for failure here, but that's life. I was even given a consolation prize of mediocre pudding, which inflicted damage when I ate it. Unforgiving, but filled with charm, Angeline Era's demo is explicitly clear that the game's storyline has been dummied out for the sake of this vertical slice. Angeline Era is in development from Analgesic Productions and is expected sometime in 2025. I remember seeing Despelote teased a few years ago, and I was enticed by its unique visual style. Now with the opportunity to try it out for myself, it opens with a simplistic overhead view football game. My nightmare. I'm not a team sports guy, and I'm definitely not a sports video game guy. But as we play, the camera slowly pulls out as our protagonist's parents begin speaking on either side of us. We're on a couch. It's 2001 in Ecuador, and the country is abuzz as the national team is about to qualify for the World Cup for the first time. Dreamy, faded, monochromatic backgrounds present our viewpoint as a hazy memory of this bygone era, punctuated by sharply in-focus character sprites. We are Julien, a silent protagonist, as well as one of the central developers of Despelote, a young boy whose interest in football is the main through line in his life. A kickabout with his classmates, antagonizing his sister by turning off her TV program to play his simplistic FIFA video game, gazing outside the classroom or car window to observe others playing the beautiful game. Your verbs are simple. Look around, greet your friends, and use the right analog stick to control the power of your kick. You'll play a simple game of passing the ball with your friends, and if you're me, you'll be conscious of the politics of ensuring everybody gets an equal opportunity to perform a kick. Despelote's demo ends with a dream sequence in a vacant lot, in which endless footballs rain from the sky, allowing Julien to perform a near-endless number of free kicks. Slowly, the dream lot becomes populated by trees, fences, and apartment buildings, choking the play space ever smaller, and bringing to mind the ubiquitous no ball game sign seen throughout the United Kingdom. Coming in May 2025 from Julian Cordero and Sebastian Valbuena in association with Panic, Despelote's playable memoir is truly going to be something special, even to those with minimal interest in its subject sport. The studio who brought us Paratopic, one of my favorite games of the past decade, are back with an Evangelion-tinged satire of service work. It's Roman Sans rebuild, baby, and its teeth are as sharp as ever. The sun's about to go supernova, and we've washed up Amnesiac on the shores of a purgatorial EGA-colored beach resort. As we wander into a lavish hotel lobby, we find ourselves quickly drafted into being the sole member of staff, forced to tend to the whims of the worst customers ever in this ontological speedrunning adventure game. The demo introduces us to femme fatale Sylvia, Betty, an evil anime Marge Simpson, alongside her hapless husband Harold, who looks like he stepped out the pages of a manga about carpentry aimed at middle-aged men, and Bunk, the grabby pervert with stern words about consentitarians. Ugh. They're all incredibly demanding, abusive, and awful, except for Harold, who prefers to catch flies with honey, but is no less manipulative. What immediately sticks out at me is how every aspect of Roman Sands is in conflict with one another. The frenetic breakcore beats scoring this lazy R&R resort, the art style disconnect between character models and their close-up portraits, your PDA companion taking a perpetual smoke break while telling you to stay busy. Each juxtaposition is kismet and a perfect simulacrum of how often it really sucks to work in service and hospitality. You have a score multiplier that ticks down in the time it takes you to finish each request, and setting a request as your active objective grants this Stun Runner-esque boost pad to your destination. The breakcore soundtrack starts incorporating a slide whistle as you rush from place to place, as if this whole thing is some kind of cosmic joke on you personally. Traveling between areas advances time by 1 cycle, so your best bet is to pick up as many objectives in a single place as you can, and then prioritize a destination where multiple tasks can be completed. But you'll inevitably run out of time and have to attempt some request from scratch the next day. At the end of evening, each day finishes, the music stops, replaced with a menacing ambient track, as your HUD instructs you to return to the beach, where you wade into the sea towards the ever-expanding sun, ending your shift and your existence as far as the hotel and its clientele are concerned, until the next morning. Here, your experience points for the day are tallied to this Mortal Kombat-esque victory tune, then the game tells you to work harder and audibly calls you a motherfucker. A hyperkinetic descendant of Flower, Sun, and Rain, with style and attitude for days, Roman Sands Rebuild is in development from arbitrary metric and currently has no scheduled release date. Obviously, I couldn't get to everything in NextFest, and I'm sure there's dozens, if not hundreds, of promising demos I missed out on. Are there any that you enjoyed that didn't make my list? Leave me a comment. I'm always on the lookout for cool stuff. I'll catch you again soon, folks.